welcome back to Vanity Fair. My name is Chris, and this is my podcast, and I am so incredibly excited to bring to you a collab episode. This is a catch-all Sister Wives end of season 20 collab. We talk about the one-on-ones, of course, season 20, but you can't talk about Sister Wives without talking about everything that brought us up to here. So it is a full breakdown. I could have spoke with this person for 10 hours about this with Dr. Adam of the Sister Wives Professor podcast. So Dr. Adam, if you know this podcast, is a professor of interpersonal and family communication. He uses academic concepts, commentary, and the occasional bad joke to explore the relationship dynamics in the show Sister Wives and others. He was incredibly lovely, warm, gracious in this conversation. Also, a super fan. I mean, so knowledgeable. On the Sister Wives Professor podcast, there are a couple episodes that there's so many episodes you can really jump into. But for season 20, he did a full interview with Suki. And in that interview, she really lets us know her POV on that process with Cody and how she has to dance in between what the viewers want, but also the fact the family gets to sign off on who interviews them and how she has to make sure she's delicate enough to get answers. Anyway, that was alone a great episode. Also, there's a members only episode that dives into the catfish scandal, which is, you know, just so ripe. However, other than that, please check out the Sister Wives Professor podcast. And at the same time, have you given Vanity Fair 5 stars yet? Like, have you thought about it? If you thought about it, great. If you've done it, even better. If you've thought about it, listen, I'm into it, because just like how I don't make a purchase from a brand unless I've like considered it, added it to cart, and then like closed that browser and then like came back like a week later, I you know, sometimes remember to buy it. So at some point, I'm asking you to pay no money to me, but just when you're scrolling and you pick up your phone and you open Instagram and you're like, what am I doing here? Be like, oh, you know what I can do? I can open up wherever I listen to podcasts and go ahead and give Vanity Fair 5 stars and a great review, or a shitty review, but as long as it's 5 stars. I'm just kidding. Do whatever you want to do. However, I really would appreciate that. Of course, my socials remain the same. You can follow at Chris L. Farah everywhere or subscribe to Patreon. Other than that, enjoy this episode and thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. Hello to you, Chris.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Hi, Dr. Adam. How are you?
I am so excited. We have never done this before, which is weird. Welcome. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. So yeah, folks, me and Chris have never collaborated before, and we are here just to talk to you about, imagine that, right? We're here to talk to you about sister. I mean, you talk about many, many things.
Yes.
But Sister Wives included.
Yes. I was so thankful that you had known my podcast. I had done docu-sweeties with my friend Wah, and now I'm doing Vanity Fair on my own. And I cover a lot of different shows, like the entire 90-Day Multiverse, but also Love is Blind. I'm doing Traders. I love Sister Wives. Like, it is my Roman Empire. You know what I'm saying? It's my polygamous empire. Like, I do love it. And not a lot of people in my life watch it. And I don't know any podcasters in real life that talk about it like I do, like the Reality Gaze or like, you know, Pink Shade, people who die and breathe 90 Day Fiancé. Now, for someone like you, who is like so well-versed in human behavior, I would salivate at the idea of thinking I could hear your thoughts on the 90-Day Multiverse. And I don't know what's going to happen in Sister Wives, but I'm going to hardcore pressure you to get into it, you know, get into something, because I need to know your thoughts.
Well, you're lucky that I am superhumanly susceptible to peer pressure. So that sounds great. No, I was doing a live earlier today on Instagram, and somebody asked me, you know, are you going to do 90 Day? And I think like, I've got to it someday. I mean, Adam cannot survive on Sister Wives alone forever. The show, I think, we could talk about this. I think the show's probably got one more in it. I think it's got one more, but I don't know that. So, but I also, too, for folks that don't know me, like I do talk about Welcome to Plathville and Seeking Sister Wife and all kinds of other stuff. Like I love this stuff. I do I do genuinely love reality as much as I am a Sister Wives guy, first and foremost.
So do you have and I do too, have a fascination with either Mormon culture or polygamous culture or fundamentalist Christian culture or that kind of traditionalist extremist situations? Because I do. I'm not, hardcore. I do.
Excellent question. Kind of, but more as a symptom of a larger issue I have, which is, when I started going to graduate school in 2009, I started my master's and I wanted to study stigma. I wanted to study identities that socially are considered off-putting or negative, but maybe don't need to be. So like studying addiction recovery, studying weight gain, weight loss, sexuality, certainly. And so I fell into Sister Wives because I thought, oh my God, this is perfect. I was actually writing my master's thesis. I was looking for something to binge on Netflix because I didn't have kids or a relationship, so I could just watch TV all day and write, which was amazing.
What a dream. What a dream. I mean, I don't have those things either. I kind of do that, but I don't know. It is my dream. I live that. Yeah.
I'm very happy now too, but I had a lot of freedom to watch, and that's how I fell into Sister Wives. And I thought, oh my God, this is great. I didn't want to, I've never done research on it. People ask me that sometimes. Previously, I used to keep that completely separate from my professional life. So yes, but it's funny because I am in the middle of reading a book on Warren Jeffs and his cult right now. And needless to say, I'm struggling emotionally with the raw realities of it. But yeah, so I've become not even that well, because this, the thing with Sister Wives or any of this stuff, as much as I think I know, there are always people that know way more than me, which I like. But so yes, to answer your question, I do have a growing still interest in that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's always so interesting because I think that I know more than anyone in my friend group. But if I go live, of course, there's people that are like, actually, it was, so-and-so. You're like, it was paid. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah, no, I got it.
And they're right. They're always right.
3. And of course they're right. And I'm like, no, thank you for being here. Thank you for correcting me. Like steer that ship, honey. But yeah, and also I was going to say, like, have you ever seen like Stay Sweet and Obey? Like, have you ever seen those docuseries that are also on these kinds of shows? Because like, the other part of like these kind of insular cultures, it's not just Mormon polygamists. Like I was also obsessed with another TLC staple, like the traveler shows. And so there's like they use the G word, which I don't want to use in case that's offensive for someone. But the names of the show, that was like My Big Fat Blobbity Blue, wedding. But yeah, all that to say, cultures that don't usually let people in, but have like such specificity and such, wild similarity in their aesthetics. Like I can't not watch it. I love it too much,
Yeah. Well, that to me is the beauty of reality TV though, is reality TV is for smart people. Reality TV is for people that are inquisitive. Reality TV is for people that can go outside of themselves. And yet, let's be real, like anything that is primarily enjoyed by women, society stigmatizes it as being flippant and unnecessary. Reality TV is the pumpkin spice lattes of television, and that, well, mostly women like it, so it can't be taken seriously. And I find that offensive as a guy, whatever, but like I'm happily married to a woman who has gotten my wife and multiple other women I dated into Sister Wives and into reality and going, hey, sit down and watch this. It wasn't the other way around. I find that so problematic and unfortunate because and I'm sure you do too, every month at least I get an email from somebody going apologetically, Adam, I don't know why I watch this. Like, can you tell me, like, is this okay? Or, I'm a smart person. Why do I watch this? And I always go, but you watch this because you're a smart person. Because you have the wherewithal and the emotional maturity to look outside of yourself and want to learn. It's the same thing as watching documentaries. Nobody ever says, why are you wasting your time watching those documentaries? Well, maybe not nobody, but not like reality TV, right? So, no, I love this stuff. I love it.
I completely agree. I'm completely obsessed. And also, so let's talk about this. This is season 20s of Sister Wives. And obviously, love has been divided. It has not been multiplied. So like, we
wanted the family. We just got the man. Yeah.
Yeah. There was one common denominator literally that divided the entirety of the family. That's Cody. And now I'm not even good at math, but like, that's where we are now. And so you sort of said this, you believe there's maybe one more season left in the franchise.
And I'm guessing. I don't know. I know nothing. Nobody tells me. Okay. I'm guessing based upon
I wouldn't hold you to that.
And that's based upon Mykelti Padron has said they filmed it. And so who knows? Filmed doesn't mean released. I've been saying I think that TLC is savvy enough for this popular show. They would want to market the final season and really get
I agree.
something out of that if they could. But I don't know. That's me. I hope so. And maybe we could talk about this maybe towards it, because we do want to talk about obviously season 20. I have my wish list for season 21, and spoilers, we will get none of it because Chris, I've got some big ticket items on my wish list.
I want to hear them. Tell me now. Please tell me what you want to know and see in 21.
Number one, I want Cody and Robin to take on a new wife. That's my dream. That's the biggest one. What is the opposite of burying the lead? I'm throwing the lead way out front. That's what I want. Yeah. Probably won't happen, but
who now in this fantasy, who wants it more, Cody or Robin? Because we know it's not going to happen.
Is this your first day?
Because here's the thing. We know that Cody has the propensity to fall in love with someone who's obviously like younger and makes him feel great. Now, Robin has always wanted us to believe that she has wanted a big family, and she would only be too happy if other people could just be around and sharing the love they have with Cody, and then the Cody pass would work. Like, I know. But what I'm asking is I want to hear it from your mouth.
Here's why I don't think it could happen. And God, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
The appeal of polygamy, and you just said it, the appeal of polygamy is Robin can be the best. She can be the first among equals. If somebody comes in, Robin no longer was the best. The completion of the family was Robin. And it was, by the way, prior to that, Christine. That was an important foundational identity piece for Christine. So it's only fair I'd point that out. Robin could not do that. For Robin to have because she'd be younger, would she be prettier? I don't talk about appearances, but probably to Cody, she would be more physically attractive, which that's the important thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, that part. That's exactly how I wanted to frame it too. Yeah.
Cody would see it that way, and Robin would know that, and that would be hard. For Robin, the appeal of polygamy is I get to come in and be chosen above everyone else, because that's also what Robin gives to Cody is I had another husband. You are the much better husband. My kids, they'd rather you be their father than their father. That's that fuel that gives Cody, why does Cody choose them? And there are many, many reasons, but that's part of it. For Robin, it would be antithetical to what she wants from polygamy. And yet that's all I want. Well, I am infamous for how much I want more Ron Tent. I can never get enough of him because he's just there and he's so handsome. And I just think he's sweet. I think I get people think I'm joking. I just think Ron seems so sweet. I want that for everybody. Can I just say that? Not just Mary.
Thank you.
Anybody that wants a partner, I want them to have a partner that's just like, I think you're wonderful. I want that for everyone.
Validating and stuff. Ron has a backstory. And every time Ron would hint at, because he was obviously in a fundamentalist Christian lifestyle, he's hinted at wanting to be able to make decisions and feel good about them without other people involved. Like in the car, they had little conversations like this when they were driving. I wish I knew more about what Ron's actual life was from. I wish because we never got to go to Ron's house, see Ron's actual setting. Ron kept being in other locations, which made us feel a little bit like Ron is such a supporting character. They didn't have a lot. Yeah. They could have leaned into showing us who this person was more if he was an actual romantic interest. And I think it's weird that they didn't.
Yeah. So you're saying you want a whole Ron Tent dump? You want.
Yes. Think of it. Okay. If she was the Bachelorette, there would be a hometown.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Thank you. And your validation means the world to me. I would want to see his hometown visit. How he lives, does he have a cool room with a bunch of cool toys and video games with a really interesting color background that really showcases a warmth and also an interest, you just know so much when you see someone, how someone lives, who knows what's happening here. But anyway, that didn't happen, but I'll tell you what did happen. In season 21, what you could see, which I showed you, is Mary and Jen's new matchmaking business. Honey, matchmaker, make me a match. It's them. What do you think?
God willing, I will never be single again. I'm just saying. If I was, I would be there. I would be there all day long. Everything about that other than, I'm very happily married. And so that would be inappropriate. Everything else about that is so foundationally appealing to me because I love Mary. I'm a huge Jen booster. I think everybody needs a Jen. Jen, to me, in all seriousness, because I come from a place of relational communication, Jen is such an effective communicator. Jen is really skilled she knows the conclusion she wants Mary to come to, and she asks open-ended questions to lead Mary to a conclusion rather than telling Mary what to do. You saw that especially with the talkbacks, lookbacks, whatever the heck they were, where she was sitting on that couch. And before that, though, where she would go, okay, well, Mary, do you feel like that's good friendship from Robin? And she would let Mary come to that conclusion instead of, and Jen's gotten a lot more overt, as she should. And I think that's appropriate. But I like Jen. No, I would go. I have really enjoyed Mary's season 20, especially her kind of found family, the Fantastic Four, as I call them, Mary and her friends. I think that it's great. Mary has really found her people, and you've seen the strength that gives Mary with the picnic table of doom conversation with Cody and we're getting ahead of ourselves. I think we were going to talk kind of chronologically about this stuff, but man, Mary has such a...
We'll start with Mary, though. Yeah, but you're right. No, there was a perfect transition. I was going to get into it. Yes, Jen, as you're right, has incredible communication skills, especially for someone who came into their lives as like the wife and or business owner of a pest control company, like in the sense that she has almost like a therapist's way of being present and like softly allowing someone to say the thing that they obviously are having a hard time saying, like it's really a big skill, especially because someone like me, okay, if I'm someone's best friend and I feel like I have an opinion about their lives, it is hard for me to allow them to have the space because I'm like, no, it sucks. We talk like Mary saying sucks. Just okay, Mary, just fine. But can you just also anyway? But you know what I'm saying? Just like sorry, I love you. But like you're just like because I guess my point of the story is I'm highly reactive and I'm an emotional person. And if I'm watching someone I love go through it, I do have a hard time being like, Chris, just check yourself. It's not even about you. And be there for your friend. But yeah, and Jen does it in a way that I can't obviously do. But yeah, let's talk with Mary. Let's go through what happened in this season, and then we'll go through the tell-all. But basically, as we know, Mary gets Amber, as you said, a roommate in. She's turning to the Airbnb, which, by the way, I don't know if you know this. I drove through Parowan, Utah, and took a picture right outside of the Airbnb.
Oh, I want to do that. I want to go to Parowan really bad because Jen has been doing Instagram lives with her bike shop, and she's got almost this Magnolia Farms type setup with all these crafts and this amazing stuff. And I just thought, oh my gosh, everything about it is my wife's aesthetic. So meaning everything is beautiful. So that's even more incentive for me to go to Parowan, as I like to call it.
Yeah. You should, by the way, it's so easy to get to, like, especially where well, actually, I lied. We don't live in the same place, but for me, it was, and it's also such beautiful, I'm in California. I felt bad because I was listening to your podcast. You're like, oh, we're so cold here. And I'm like, oh, it's so hot outside. I literally have the air conditioning on. Utah's so gorgeous and the red rocks are so beautiful. Like, and there's different, obviously, parts of it or whatever, like where down in Moab, looks different. But I almost wished we had more like Parowan charming townsfolk content. But like it got better a little bit. But Mary, in the early scenes are having like her sip and paint where they're all doing like eggplant paintings. And I thought that was a little dumb, if I was to be honest with you.
I was going to say, I loved it, but fair enough.
You know why I didn't love it? Because
Tell me.
Because I feel like if I was also her friend at some point, I'd be like, let's not draw Cody. Like, let's just let her move on.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Can't fault you on that. Yeah. I was going to say, if you're talking about sipping wine and painting for fun, I'm like all the live long day, just make mine juice. But yeah, I do think, and some of that I'm sure is the gravity of the show, because as much as you and I feel that way, a lot of people will go, why am I watching the scene? This has nothing to do with Cody or the larger family, And so like that wouldn't bother me. But I don't know. I thought those paintings were hilarious. The eggplants, I don't know, man. It made me laugh. I'm a big emoji guy though.
I don't find Ron wildly attractive, but I think that I should.
Well, that makes one of us.
Can I be honest?
Good looking man. That's a solid man.
As you're saying it, I think, okay, as I'm like, there's something wrong with me. And I think that I pick
something wrong with
emotionally unavailable man.
Oh.
And Ron is only too available. And his like, I think that anyway, I wish there was an emoji for that. There kind of is. I feel like actually my emoji is a little bit for this exact conversation, which is, yes, I just keep picking wrong person after wrong person. And I think that like there's something energetically about them that I must find interesting. And then upon further inspection, they are not great for me. But kind of like that, if it was an emoji, would be just that head, like the yellow face that is just melting into the ground, kind of like, what is this world? What can we do? You know, like I do love that emoji.
Okay.
Because it can be used in so many ways, just like face melting off, just like.
I use it every day. That and the crying with like the streams of tears.
Oh God. Yeah. I love that for when I'm laughing.
Yeah. I love that for all day. Can I say this though? Can I say this before we move Ron?
Wow.
Here's what I like about Ron, in all seriousness. If I was looking to date Ron, he puts effort into his look. He's curated, you know, he cares about his appearance, especially around Mary. He wants to look good for her. That's good. I mean, look at Chris. Look at this. You know,
you have a baby.
Huh?
You have a baby.
Well, first of all, my wife loved this. My wife chose this. We watched a documentary on the Eagles and she saw 70s Glenn Fry and she said, look like that. And I said, anything you want. So took me a couple of years, but I got there. She likes the 70s dirtbag look, thankfully. But he does that. And Ron, he's what in my household we call a Kristoff from Frozen, which is just a sturdy looking guy that's there to help. Like he's not going to make things about himself. He's there to help. And Chris, I feel like you need a Kristoff in your life. I think you need a guy. I know I've known you for 22 minutes, so I think I'm qualified to tell you what kind of person you want. So folks, I'm joking.
He's right, though.
Don't take me that I'm mansplaining things to Chris. I would never do that. But you got to let them in, though. You got to let them as a helper, as a Labrador myself, or a golden retriever. I think that's what they call guys like me. You got to let them help. Got to let them help because you deserve that. You deserve consistency.
Yeah, I think I'm going to really just marinate in this conversation, which is like so perfectly timed in my life. And also bringing up the times in which I had like a nice guy that actually like offered to do something for me. And I was like, no, you know, whatever. And then now, it's just so funny. Yeah. Like it's very actually few and far between that people I think offer to do things for me. Like I almost so that like, but at the same time, going back to being present, kind of like how Jen is with her conversations with Mary, like I think you have to really not be in your head about things so that you can pick up on when people are offering, because you can also not even see it when you're in your own. Yeah. With Mary and Ron, it's so interesting. And I guess what I want to ask to you is, why isn't Mary at the end of this tell-all like, oh yeah, Ron and I are dating right now. Yeah, it's obviously been a year. It's because, you know, like it's been a long time since we've seen this footage. Like, what is happening? Because the streets of Reddit will give you everything from he's a paid actor to, you know, like she's not into him. Even Suki, who's like, wait, so are you going to go out with him again? Are you dating him? We hang out. Okay. Like, what is happening? Why is she so vague about it?
If I were to guess, and that's all I'm doing is guessing, and I'm trying to be respectful, especially because I'm talking about people that clearly did not want to be on TV. You know, Mary was in a relationship with that gentleman, Amos, and that ended. However it ended, I don't know. None of my business. I could see that making Mary very cautious and going, you know what? Maybe I don't want to publicly announce this big thing. I mean, he's on the show.
Right.
The other thing could be like, we don't know. I don't know if Ron has children. I don't know what kind of parameters Ron keeps in place. Like Ron's locked down, very locked down, which I support if that's what he needs. I don't know what his life is like. It could be a matter because you look at David, and I like David, but David had a very harsh spotlight put on him, the passing of his wife. His children have been on TikTok talking about, wow, you guys do not know my mother. You do not know my father. You don't know me. That I couldn't do it. I could not. If I fell in love, you know, if I had fallen in love with my wife and she was on reality TV, like we wouldn't have made, I don't have that kind of constitution. So those are my guesses. I think and Mary's savvy. Mary's a smart lady. I think Mary kind of knows people want this. And I could see too, and again, this is probably me making stuff up. So folks, don't take this seriously because Chris and I are just having fun. If I were Mary, I could see, like, y'all know everything. Y'all want to talk about my catfishing. Y'all want to talk about why didn't you leave Cody? Tell you what, I'm going to sit on this for a while. Maybe you can't have this yet until I'm ready. I could see that. I'm not saying I think that's what she's doing. I'm saying if she did, I would understand it.
Like you kind of said, like, or she uses this as like, guess what's happening season 1 or season 21, you guys.
Ron Mance.
Yeah, because the truth of the matter is, when we go and talk about other people, like you brought up that you wanted Cody and Robin to bring on, obviously like a second wife. That would be great for them. And besides that, they have like not anything else that would be interesting that could possibly happen. Like, like he's been on Special Forces, like I have wanted him to go on Dancing with the Stars, but then in their conversations, I'm like, he won't touch another woman. I don't know how he would get around having to sexy dance, but dance in itself is sexy.
It's intimate. It's intimate. Yeah.
Yeah. The closeness and like, especially, certain dances, whatever. So like,
sure.
Then he wouldn't be able to do it. I don't know how, even though he does want to be famous.
Can you imagine him doing that wedding, the COVID wedding where he's Elaine Bennis dancing around?
Right. It's genius casting.
I would just love for him to be there and Alfonso Rubio or somebody just standing off in the corner, just shaking their head like, what are you doing? All my money. I don't have much, but all my money to watch that happen.
He's such a weird dancer and they've talked about it so much. It's just like, it would be such a huge platform. He'd be so happy, and it's like, I don't know. That's my dream, even though it's not really what happened on season 21, unless it was, and they got to like somehow film his experience of doing it, because you also know if he was, and this is again, an absolute fool's paradise because he wouldn't be able to be on it because of how intimate dancing is. But like let's just say he was on it. He would not be on it for long, cause he would be voted off. He would be voted off. Like, I'm not saying because of any other reason, just that he can't dance.
I thought he was going to be off Special Forces in 2 episodes. So I don't know anything. I thought he was going to get cooked.
He is that kind of like, he has a militant masculine desire to perform.
Yeah, it turns out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I misread the whole thing.
Because when he talks about his dad, he talks about like, my dad was this cowboy, and when I would watch women watch my dad, he could do no wrong. He could just cut off that horse. But he would just treat 3 women horribly and then treat Janelle's mom great because she was brand new and like, the Robin of the group. Like, and everyone would be like, okay with how he did it because his masculinity was so loud. Like, this is Cody thinking, obviously. This is how I feel like I pieced together Cody's idea of what it meant to be a successful head of the house, and, and how he saw it happen with his dad, how it didn't work out for him. And then to be on the only other show he's been on besides Sister Wives, which is, Special Ops or Special Forces, which is so, masculine coded in that way. It's so interesting to me. And did you watch all the episodes, by the way?
Oh God. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, first of all, it was so interesting to have like those dudes. I never watched the show, by the way. So like who those 3,
I hadn't watched it before.
Yeah. Like those 3 main military men just stare at him like as if he was an alien. As if they did not understand the words coming out of his mouth, like they were so baffled by him, like by his existence or whatever. It was so interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting study in Cody and masculinity and his reaction to not being the only man in the room, certainly not the most masculine. I mean, Cody's facing down men that are either the scariest, the hottest, or both men on the planet. And to watch Cody process this was fascinating because Cody kind of reverted, and there's some debate, and now we're talking about Special Forces, but it's relevant. Some debate on, was Cody's breakdown genuine? My thesis was that Cody's breakdown was genuine because he respected those men. And the force, no pun intended, of that respect was such that all of his walls that he constructs mentally with Robin were torn down. And he was faced with the grief and the reality. And people want to think, well, Cody's never genuine. To me, the worst thing is Cody is capable of being genuine. But 1, he only did it because there were these men he respected. And 2, as soon as the pressure was off, he retreated, which is worse to me to have that capacity. I can not forgive, but conceptualize and understand somebody that is incapable of something, cannot do it differently than somebody who is capable but does not do it. To me, that is worse. Does that make sense?
Of course it does. To me, it means like wanting to, I guess it's like if we had seen those breakdowns and then we had known that from that moment he left and just started the phone list, honey, going down and saying, I am so sorry to every child. Like, like no camera from Leon down, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like the ones that don't talk to each other, the ones that won't like I don't even care if you make voicemails, like you just beg people to forgive you and to let them have a moment to see that you have done a 180 and acknowledged it. Like if he had come from that show and done, instead of the wife apology tour, a children apology tour, which is the last thing I'll say, I think that could be the season 21 thing too.
That's what I think we're going to get. It's not necessarily what I want. I'm not going to be mad about it, but I just want more wives. I mean, the show's called Sister. Can we get a sister wife? The show is called Sister Wives. Can we have a sister wife? I don't think that's too much to ask. I got to ask you though, because we're going down the list here. This has been a bit of a Rubicon, certainly for Janelle, and we'll get there, but for David. Mm-hmm. People are starting to separate in camps with David more clearly based upon the one-on-one-on-one-on-ones. Have you noticed this as well?
Well, because of the comment, people, I think to me, are you talking about, I think that David's saying that Christine cuts him off and that he wants to talk more at the tell-alls. To me, as a Sister Wives fan, I was like, oh, not necessary, buddy. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. That's so weird. You're a moot point. Like you could be here or there. You're there.
Coming in hot.
I don't think you're necessary. Your point of view is the least important thing that's going to be said by anyone. Like, and I don't even like, as much as Robin is a villain, like I would rather watch Robin's face move and dance around as she has to react to like questions than watch and hear David talk, period.
Well, never mind.
No, I want your opinion. No, please don't.
I'm
please.
Kidding.
First of all, I love differing opinions.
I'm kidding.
Tell me. No,
Y'all, I'm kidding.
I love it.
No, David is an enigma to me. And as somebody that likes to figure people out professionally, and I have my whole life, I think part of that is just growing up with like kind of a weird brain. I learned I had to kind of overcompensate and figure people out because they were not going to figure me out, if that makes sense. And so that's part of It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And there are a lot of people like me out there, and we're very nice people. You should talk to us. But David is hard to figure out. And so David interests me because I think I get him wrong the most. And I met David briefly at Christine's book signing, and he couldn't have been sweeter. And I'm a big softie. So if you're nice to me, or especially if you're nice to me in person, like I will forgive way too much. And so take that as a flaw if you need to. It probably is. But again, I'm Midwestern. Like I'm hardcore Midwestern nice. Everybody must be nice until they're aggressively awful. And then it takes me a while. I was a Robin apologist for years, Cody apologist for years. I've atoned, folks. People know this. But I wanted to believe the good things. And so with David, I'm coming up against what put me off about David was some of the terminology that came out where it was like, she's not your wife, she's my wife, which is true. But what I saw in David that bugged me more was what I saw as maybe some revisionist history, which is a red flag for me and anybody, where David seemed in the one-on-one-on-one-on-ones way more upset at Cody's statement of, I really did love you than he was in the moment. And I'm saying this to you now, countering, because as you know, this happens sometimes, countering my own takes because I have thought and processed, as I should, other people's opinions and taken them into account and grown and changed. So if I'm countering what I said on my own podcast, it's because I have changed my mind, which I should do. I think that I feel like they got out of that conversation because David was like, hey, come to Moab. And then he was like, no, I would never do that. I think he meant it in the moment. And I think what happens is he and Christine got home and they unpacked it. And by the way, Chris, they are allowed to do this. They reflected on it, became upset later because I don't know about you, how many times I've had a conversation and I thought, well, at work, especially, I thought, well, that was fine. And then I go back and I'm in the shower 2 days later. I'm like, oh, that was really mean. But I didn't realize it until later. Or wait a minute, I'm offended by that, even though I wasn't in the moment. So I think they got together. I think they unpacked it. They got kind of mad and coming on to the one-on-one-on-ones. And he was kind of caveman-y. Me man, me wife, not talk other man. And it kind of made me feel like, this isn't it. This isn't it. And so I don't know. I don't know if, okay, one more thing. And I really want you to talk, but I think that this, again, as the relational communication guy, some relationships function when they have a shared enemy. Have you ever been in that relationship or known people like that where they kind of didn't know?
Not romantically, but okay. Surely friend-wise, absolutely.
Yeah, and then one person sometimes can go, can we move on from how much we hate this person? Don't we have something else that we could talk about? And I don't think Christine and David are doing that, but it gave me flavors of that. Is your relationship to some degree founded on, and maybe it's not, but is your relationship to some degree founded on like Cody bad? Because Cody is bad, but it made me wonder if like, were they bonding together by retroactively getting more upset about that situation? I don't know. That was and I don't know, but those are just my thoughts.
I love your thoughts. No, I think they're really interesting. Here's the thing. A lot of things happen season 20 where Janelle would say things like, yeah, David just always has to be right. I like David. No, I like David a lot. It's just that he's a little, And they've also like even somewhat, gave us flavors that there are similarities between Cody and David, and that is so interesting, right? Like that's fact. Like of course, if Cody was listening to this right now, he doesn't, but at least in my podcast, yours maybe, but he would be so upset, right? He feels he's so much more sophisticated than David. To hear Cody be like, well, he's a construction worker. Like it was almost classist kind of like in the tell-alls.
Not almost. It wasn't
you're
almost.
Right. He feels like he is so much more above David. He's also like sort of accused David of thinking that Robin was hot, which that was remember when he was like, yeah, he didn't want to talk to me, but he kept looking at Robin when they first met. Like there was a lot of moments like that. It's the weird thing about it is you're absolutely right. Like this sit down happened. Then the next day they go racing. They don't ever talk about how awkward this moment is. And I don't even want to give Cody grace, but I'm just going to say this. In any other situation, I would understand that it'd be super awkward to have a man be like, I did love you. Now, it's just that in the culture these people were in, they're in a culture where a man can tell someone they love someone in front of their romantic partner because that's what already happened all day long. Like it's like Cody is used to telling someone that he loved or didn't love them in front of someone else that may or may not be affected his whole life. Like the boundaries of that to him, because especially he was raised in polygamy, probably weren't like as concrete as this like real possessive kind of monogamous, like, how dare you even look at my woman? Like, well, he had children with her. I don't know. I felt like this, again, I'll finish a sentence. I felt like this militant kind of extremist reaction didn't feel natural to me as someone who wasn't raised in polygamy. Did you feel that way?
I am rarely ever the person giving Cody Brown less credit than someone else. So this is weird for me. I kind of didn't. What I took from that is Cody's the world's most special boy. Cody must give this woman who's been happily married for 500 years. I must allow you to now be happy, even though you're loving on your bald, solid husband for years, having a great time, glowing up. I must release you somehow. That was to me the whole and Chris, more importantly, he tried it out on Janelle and it worked beyond his wildest expectations.
Chef's kiss, honey. He had never seen the magic work. I mean, Janelle gave him the exact rolled out a red carpet for the apology tour.
Everything he wanted, he got out of that interaction. And that's her right if that's how she felt. But he took from that, I got this down because he had a script and he thought, I think and Cody.
He did. He had it.
Cody, he's not stupid, but he's not complex. Does that make sense? And so I think Cody thought, okay, I'll push the same buttons the next two wives and this will work. And then it was like system error kind of thing, I think.
It's almost like a stand-up comedian who who just kills opening night, has their bits like, okay, I'll open with the I was wrong, I did love you bit. And then I'll, but if, that's his modus. And then he gets, he bombs the second night. It's so interesting. The last thing I'll say about giving him grace, because I don't want to do it. Okay. I'm mad about it. Okay. It's just that when I listened to your podcast and you had Suki on, she said, I learned about the importance of covenants between people or whatever. Okay. And obviously, they were in a covenant marriage or whatever. And that's why Janelle wanted to get a release. And so having me thought of it, and I only thought of this as I listen to your podcast, because if I don't think of it that way, then I see a man running around America being like, I need to release you, and agreeing with all these women that he's doing this for himself so he can release himself of whatever guilt burden he has, because God bless.
That's what it's about.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Okay. At my heart of hearts, I know that is what it is. But I also feel like they didn't quite let us understand that maybe in his mind, he's like, I, as the head of the household, that people at one point all believed they were going to gather around me like a fire marshal when we all get to heaven and the celestial angels would be around Cody. This is Team Cody, and you would all come to me. And so is this my way of being like, I'm sorry. I no longer have that over you. When we get to heaven, we don't know each other. We're strangers passing each other in heaven, honey. Maybe a smile. Like I'll give him that if that's what he was trying to do, you would have had to have given us more information. But they are not forthcoming with all of their religious beliefs. And I don't blame them because they're out there. Most religions are, but that's one of them. So but it's like, it would give me a little more understanding of what his idea was, because it does look like he was just like, it's only on me to give this woman away to this new man when you're right. She's like, I've been married to him already for years. Okay. So basically so as we know, we're talking a little bit. So Christine's whole thing that happened this season are the following things. A, she's no longer the matriarch of the family. Maddie is by way of the farm. That's and legit. Also Janelle is, but it's like Janelle and Maddie taking it up or whatever.
Yep.
And it's been hard for Christine, who loves to host things, who's now gets to really only host like one baby shower and like, a divorce party for Janelle. The Janelle shows up with, all of the other basic sister wives that we can get on the show. Like that's your only version now, literally the sisters of these wives that are in various stages of marriages, both monogamous and polygamous. But like there was the German one, honey. I mean, like so many Christine sisters. I was just like, what is who? I didn't mind this scene. I liked Christine's.
I loved it.
No David.
Okay. I mean, it's filler. It's filler, but it's pleasant filler. It didn't bother me. I like, Janelle's sister who looks just like Janelle, like she's beautiful. I mean, they're all beautiful ladies, but I thought, my gosh, look at this family resemblance, and no, it was interesting. And Christine, you're right, because Christine's mini arc she had early on in the season, right, was why are my kids moving away?
Kelty and Peyton, and both just like,
and they've spoken out. McKelty's spoken out on that, and so I'll leave her to that because that's her right. But as far as the content on the show, that's a really big identity loss for Christine, because Christine, pre the show, Christine was her space was the space. It was the Browns love safe, but like safe space, the hangout space. And Christine was the hangout mom, and Christine was the active mom and the present mom and the teacher and all that other stuff. And so I do feel for her, because anytime you have that kind of identity loss or role loss, as the case may be, even if you welcome it, even if you want to leave something behind, and I don't think Christine did, it still is hard. Anybody that gives up a hobby or a sport or a career or a location or a relationship, even if, I've gotten out of relationships that I was desperate to get out of and knew I had to get out of. And I still felt like I mourned it. I'm so glad that's over, but I'm still sad. Now I might be sad because I thought, wow, I wasted X amount of years of my life. Or it still is like, well, who am I now if I'm not with you? I have to figure out, who am I now if I am not this? If I'm not an athlete, if I'm not an artist, if I don't own my own business, if I don't have my podcast, who am I? Mm-hmm. And so Christine, I was set up to get more of that. And I think it just kind of went yada, yada, yada. Let's get in a weird go-kart and drive around. And I thought, okay, fine. But Christine is pretty settled into what she's doing, and she's settled into David. And so that's, I think, part of why I'm hoping for more Ron content, or even Janelle dating. Not to your point that we keep coming back to, is what is there to do? Is Aurora, I can't say her name, Aurora going to get married? Would I watch that? God, yes, I would watch that. Okay, you wouldn't? Well, I would watch. I'll watch anything. I'll watch Christine Woolley do the dishes. I don't care. Like, I'm sick. Okay, I'm invested. I'm the pig. Come slop me. Oink, oink. I don't care. But I'm saying that's me. Not with everything, but with this show. But yeah, Christine and David, I'm just trying to say, I guess, have been, other than the apology tour, I don't mean this negatively, but they've just kind of been there. I felt like this season, they were just kind of there.
I don't have a lot of notes on them because you're right. Not a lot happened. They just dress similar now. At one point she says he looks nice. He wears the worst shirts. I really don't like any of his shirts that he wears, and when they're wearing matching shirts, I'm even more upset about it.
This is my surviving sister wives blanket, by the way, if anybody's watching this on video. Boot lamp.
Oh anyway, God, I love it. Look at these lamps. She's not going to talk about a big part of her life, which is Plexus, which is, here's the thing.
Isn't that weird too? Doesn't it get weird?
Yeah, the MLM part of Sister Wives is like the basement sister wife that permeates a lot of the storylines, but we don't talk about it. So for instance, I had done the deep dive, and you can say this to be true or not. The reason why Mary met the person that was the catfish was because that person was brought to Mary's house by Robin's friend, who was a part of the MLM they were doing at the time.
I've heard that.
Something called Ivy something, right?
I don't know what any of this stuff is. I just know the pink drink. That's all I know. Plexus, right? That's the pink drink.
Pink drink is Plexus, yes. And then we know that, because Mary does the LaRue leggings, and yeah. So it's like
buttery leggings. You ever owned any of that?
Not never. I don't. Yeah, that's like a for some reason, like ethically,
you know me. I don't judge.
Yeah, no, I don't support that.
I imagine not.
I've never bought any of the MLMs.
I'm not above it. I'm a rube. I'm a mark.
I am also this is, you know what it is? Okay, first of all, I am above it. I'm above it. I'm above it because I don't know any of the MLMs that have products that I wouldn't just know a better version of. Like, I can't imagine the LaRue the leggings are better than any like Lululemon leggings I would get, or I don't think the colors or patterns I've ever seen are like attractive. And then like Arbonne or like Mary Kay or any of those like Roden and Fields, like I know what skincare and makeup I use, honey. I'm fine. Like, like I don't need some older lady in the Midwest to tell me about. I'm sorry. Not at all. I think but God bless.
Can I tell you my very favorite thing? Well, one of my very favorite things about you is you're like me. I can just put a nickel on you on something and you go, you're just like me. Like, just ask me a question about anything unrelated. I'll see you in 10 minutes. I'm good. I so relate to you about that. I love that. And when I say I'm not above it, what I mean is I'm the kind of person that it's really lucky I didn't somehow join a cult, because I could just see myself with the best of intentions. Am I somebody that would accidentally join a cult? 100%. It's really just happenstance that I didn't. Nobody's tried, because it probably would have worked. That's what I mean. So anyway, let's move on to who are we talking about now? I'm having fun.
We know we're getting off of Christine and David. We talked about Mary, talked about Christine and David. Obviously, there's not that much to talk about. And so let's move on to Janelle, and then we'll finish up with the Cody and Robin. So basically with Janelle, the very beginning is we know that she's moving on with Maddie to the farm, and the farm looks great. And she gets to give up the Cody past life and just transfer that whole dream to North Carolina. But, it's longer to get the permits than she wants. We get introduced to two of her friends that are obviously from an MLM this season. People that you're like, well, that, how would you be friends? But we never talk about that. They're just friends from Arizona. Like, okay, one tragically passed away.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't know that. But we see these people. Oh my God. No, you didn't know that? No.
Ah, babe. The not as chatty one.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, it really is. Anyway, so sad. So, but Janelle, hangs out with them, and they're like, you got to get back out there. And Janelle's like, I would like to maybe be a little more spontaneous or whatever. She wants to get the spiritual release. Now, she has had she's had a FaceTime with Cody and Mary in the beginning. We know that they're trying to sell Coyote Pass, even though Robin keeps going out there and putting her good juju, which we just know is the opposite of what that is. But at the same time, Janelle now wants to have a conversation with Mary that I find fascinating, which is, I know we're not really close. In fact, I barely talk to you, and a lot of my kids don't like you. But I need you to make the first phone call to get me this spiritual release. And Mary is very loving towards Janelle in this phone call, and absolutely does, for this whole backdoor deal to suddenly be the next part of their situation. Like, I feel like this is such an interesting timeline. Like Christine, the way that is, Christine, Mary don't talk, obviously. They don't like each other. Janelle, Christine, obviously talk. But they have moved on from how close they were in the last season to this season, where, as we've said, Janelle has moved half the family across and has taken the matriarch role away from Christine. They also worked in an MLM together. And so when Christine says that Janelle left and they had some business deals and business workings that they've had to stop, it's the MLM. So I feel like they've also had a shift in their relationship. Mary, so Mary is talking to Janelle at this point, is the only sister wife that she's talking to, because she's not talking to Robin. And obviously they used to be close as well. And obviously we had ended on Janelle and Cody being close last season. And obviously now, because of the conversations about Jen, Cody and Robin aren't. So it's just to have Mary and Janelle have this conversation about the spiritual release in such a loving way was kind of like a little surprising to me, especially how we know it turns out. How about to you?
I mean, I liked it. It's surprising, yeah. I think that Mary genuinely wanted to help Janelle. I think Mary probably, like many people like me, when somebody wants to pursue a similar life change that you have already done, that feels good. And you want to shepherd them through it because A, you care about them, B, you want what's best for them, and also C, it's validating of your own choices. Everybody likes that. That does not make you
validating of your own
that does not make you a bad person. That's okay. I don't think it's the only reason, but I think Mary felt, because you saw this also somewhat with Christine, where Christine would kind of say to Janelle or Mary, well, you need to get back out there. Like, it's so good. It's so good to get out there and date. You really need to do that. I think it was last season. And I think at the Sprinkle or whatever. And I think Christine meant that. I also think on some level, Christine was trying to validate her own life choices, which people do. Again, that is not bad, folks, but it's okay to talk about and it's okay to acknowledge, because I've done that. It's like when I have people that are asking, should they go to graduate school? I have to temper part of my enthusiasm and I have to look clear eyed of like, is that good for you? Because there's a part of me that's like, okay, this was so good for me. It must be good for you. I'm going to give you the hard sell. And I am aware that I shouldn't do that because I don't want to position anybody to not have what they need. And so that's just one example. So I think that was part of it, as Mary was like, absolutely, because this was so good for me and it's validating. And that was so interesting. And I said this on my podcast. I really appreciated, to your earlier point, because they don't talk about this, I appreciated how frank Janelle was. And we'll get into the things about Janelle I did not appreciate this season, because there's a few. But I appreciated how frank she was of, look, just in case I don't want to be tied spiritually. I love that she was open about her spiritual concerns. I thought that was vulnerable. And I appreciated the transparency, because we don't typically get that about the AUB, about the tenets of their faith. 99% of what I know, I've learned from Notes to Self 444 on YouTube. So it was nice to hear Janelle be frank about her spiritual concerns. I don't relate, but I appreciated that vulnerability. And I have to talk about Janelle. So I'm a backdoor dill truther. This is my current hyperfixation. Here's my view. And folks, it's only my view, and I'm wrong a lot. I think, one, Janelle pitched to Cody in a moment of frustration because she felt Mary was dragging her feet, and Janelle felt, we're going to lose this deal. I think Janelle said to Cody, listen, we can just force this deal, give Mary her money, give her everything that's owed, and we can just do it without Mary, because Mary's always dragging her feet. Mary always does this. This is my money too. We're not going to cut her out of any money. Let's just push it through. Cody took that to Robin. Robin took that to Cody. They weaponized it. Janelle is savvy enough to go, there's no backdoor deal. Yes, but that's what she said. Yeah, I brought it up to Cody because I think she did. And I think two things can be true. Janelle brought up, can we force this sale? And also Janelle was not going to cut Mary out of any money. So is that kind of crappy? Yeah. But Janelle is a pragmatist. Janelle's not an emotional thinker. Janelle's a pragmatic thinker to a fault, some people would say. That's my view on it. What do you think?
I love it. She's Teflon Queen. She's the Teflon Queen. I agree. Like, I think, Mary's name wasn't on the properties the way it should be. It was such a messy situation of how they decided to do the percentages that I think there was a part of Cody who also, doesn't love to think linearly. I can't even talk this word, linear. He's not a linear person. He doesn't think that way. He's a little, neurodivergent. So am I. So I think that Cody's all over the place. And so, so I think that Cody, to have to do all the things, get the deeds right, then I have to put all the money right and make sure that everything, I think that was so much so that if there was, let's just say, this is not the numbers. Let's just sell all of it together. Let's get 12 million and let's just divide 12 million more than me having to do all the paperwork of, is this right? This right? Because of the equity and bureaucracy of all the paperwork could have been a little overwhelming for him. A. B, during the tell-all, it becomes clear that during the marriage that both Janelle and Cody had an understanding that for them, it was difficult to deal with Mary. This brings up so during the tell-alls, we really get into this. Mary's obviously the first wife. Janelle gets, involved. The way that Janelle gets involved, it's that Janelle was married to Mary's brother and they break up. He dies later, but not before they break up. And then Janelle sees Cody and Mary around. They kind of talk to the elders of the church, is how Janelle describes it, which is she has to let people know that she's available in the church, and then people make their appropriate decisions. And there's a little scent in the air for the church to know that people are interested in each other. And then, of course, Janelle marries Cody. Mary is upset because it's going to happen on her birthday, and she is like livid about that. When Janelle gets into the family, they start to fight because Janelle doesn't always want to wash all of the dishes by nightfall. And then I'll do it the next morning. And then obviously they would fight about it, Mary and Janelle. And Cody would hear it, and Cody would not be like, you know what? Let's sit down, ladies, and have a conversation as the head of household, as the person that has to facilitate communication.
That is so irritating to me, by the way.
No, yeah.
Sorry.
But this is his view. Like he knows, okay, I'm not saying this is good or bad, but in his mind, he knows he should do this. Like in his mind, I'm assuming he understands that in this traditional gender role, he is the head of household, okay? Like in a Big Brother way. And he is kind of like supposed to be the judge. Let's see, Mary, do you know, okay, what I'm hearing is you want to have a clean house to go to bed. Janelle, is there a reason why you don't always get the dishes? You need more help doing that? Like he didn't do any of that. Instead, he was like, I don't want to deal with you guys. You guys deal with it. You guys hash it out. And he left. And they didn't hash it out. And so but Cody knows that Mary yells a lot. And so over the years, Janelle has let things go. Cody's realized that Janelle is the least hard one to deal with. And so I think that when we get to the Cody pass deal, there's just years of Janelle and, Cody being like, okay, how do we do it so it's just easy, especially with Mary? Yeah.
I think so too. I think they wanted it done. And Mary, whether it's the NDA, and I don't even, the NDA, whatever.
Can you talk about that? Can you just explain that in your idea of what that was?
I don't know. It's weird.
Why would it only be Mary signing it?
I don't think it was only Mary. Didn't Janelle kind of say, yeah, I signed it, but I had to get him to change a couple of things. But because she said something like, we're all talking about it now, so I guess I'm not held to it anymore. I think she said that in one of the one-on-one-on-one-on-ones.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of...
Did Christine Christine wrote a book. So did she...
Christine wasn't a part of the sale. It
was only about the part of the sale. Okay.
Yeah, because that was part of it. And I think it's books. I think I don't know, it's something. Robin, I don't know. They're trying to avoid something getting out. They don't, and what, I don't know. And I don't even know what to hypothesize. I don't even know what to guess. I have no idea. It's weird.
About Robin or about Cody? What is it? Or about both of them?
About their money. I think it was, they didn't want Mary coming back and making any kind of claim to Manosphere Manor, where they are right now, the house they built on the sulfur fart mine. I think that Mary gave them all that money, which went into, as I call it, the Animal Crossing Chateau, their previous home, because it looks like my house in Animal Crossing with all the random paintings and statues and crap. That's a deep level podcast reference. Sorry. And that's my assumption. And it's not a very good one, but Robin wanted basically Mary to never, ever bring up that Mary gave them a butt whack of money. That is the only reason why they have their previous home, and therefore use the equity to get in their current home, which are now using the equity to take out a $750,000 lien, I guess. I don't know. I've never been the biggest Brown family finances guy. There are people like Amanda in particular of We Love to Hate Everything that just did an entire breakdown of the Brown family finances because she's brilliant. I don't have that kind of brain. I'm a dabbler in the finances. I'm not the expert. But as you know, as we talked about on this podcast and off, Chris, you can get as deep into this as you want. There is lore upon lore upon lore with Sister Wives. It's not about the show. It's about everything else. The show is the hook. It's the puzzles that you get to puzzle through on the internet with your friends that really make Sister Wives.
What is your favorite lore?
Preston, Robin's ex.
Like whether he, like who he was, like why he gave up the fatherhood, paternity, like all that stuff?
Yeah, but I also don't want to know because he has been silent, and good for him. I respect that. I respect his silence selfishly. And I'm not proud of this. I want to know everything. I want to know what was Robin like? What was their finances like? What was the Victoria's Secret credit card she was maxing out? Because I've just started rewatching season 5, and she's crying going, I was abused. He abused me. And I'm not going to come out here in front of God and everybody and say a woman saying she was abused wasn't. But okay, that's a bold statement. The purity talk where he begged and begged for her purity. and ruined it and all this other stuff. She's had a platform in front of millions of people to give a very one-sided, as Robin always does, very one-sided account of that man. I just would like to know what his side of it is, and I never will. And again, good for him. He does not owe me that. But again, selfishly, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, it's hard because one thought of is like, well, if that's not true, you could sue, but then you would have to then, showcase every morsel of your marriage. In a very, related situation, I'm obsessed with the Etsy dolls or the American Girl dolls. Like my dream 21st season.
You're in good company.
Like I wish that she would go through every doll and tell us about them and play with them in front of us. And and in the season when we got to see just like the armoire with the doll inside, like I am obsessed with like taking screenshots and looking at the dolls and the armoire. There's a lot of moments of Robin that I have in where I put the pictures on my YouTube in past episodes where she's standing in front of the armoire with the doll there. And what she's doing is like pulling down what, I have deep insecurity about my turkey neck or whatever. But like what she's doing is this, like the ways in which Robin has to, ground herself. I wonder, in order to move through her daily life with Cody and everything, I find fascinating. As we move on to their last parts, the parts of the season with Cody and Robin, yes, as you know, as we've kind of said, they pack and move from your Animal Crossing home to the one on the Sulphur. To like, it's a very 90s looking brown wood castle. Like that's how I would describe it. Like
nouveau riche.
Besides this one packing situation, they also go on many awkward dates to different restaurants. One was like a whole naked woman's behind Cody. Like I don't know why they decided to sit them at that table, like in an artistic piece of naked womanhood. I like the naked womanhood, but hilarious to me that the cameraman's like, this is the entire shot of this entire scene is like Cody's back to this naked woman, like looking at Robin, making awkward sexual jokes. And Robin has to constantly be like, I don't like it when he does this in public. I'm much more demure and I hate it, but he doesn't find it as uncomfortable as me. He always does it. The ways in which they express romance to each other is so interesting, but the ways in which they also feed into each other is...
These are, in most ways, seemingly foundationally incompatible human beings. That's what's so weird. They do not seem compatible in any way. They do not talk the same, act the same, display affection the same. The thing is, they absolve each other of responsibility for everything. And maybe when the cameras are off, they have a great old time and she's his best customer and no thank you, daddy. But, it is what it is. They have been... For me, it's so funny because this. When I drop Robin and or Cody content to promote my podcast, 10 to 100 times better than anything else I do. And yet to me, they are the part of the show that I'm always like, okay, I have a joke and it's not a joke. But when Robin first comes on screen every episode, I just kind of go, oh, I don't mean to. I'm not trying to be mean. I just kind of go, oh, I don't want to hear this. But they drive the show. People's dislike for them drives the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a toxic part. But yeah, because she is always negative. She's always upset. Her face is always in a frown. And she, she's always talking about the real deal and the big picture. And like, who knows if she's ever known any of those true things. To see the difference in how she used to look at Cody, how her eyes used to do this thing where she would flirt with him. He was so obvious. Like she really would like bat an eye. Yeah. Like looking back at how textbook her like flirtatiousness with him is, it's so different now. Like she frowns and rolls her eyes and can't stand him so obviously that it's palpable. Like you said this, they don't act at all like each other. And I'm even going to say, since they've been married and since they've obviously picked each other so hardcore, they've gotten more and more different. And Cody has like put her higher and higher on a pedestal where at first maybe she was like, like the new hot wife and the shy, pretty wife. And now she's like the moral compass of the entire family. And he himself always feels like that she has abandon him and that she hates him for his choices. Like she somehow manipulated him to a point now where he feels like he needs her approval over anything.
Well, he's terrified to be left by Robin.
The grip that she's had on him is my like absolute utter fascination. I wish I could like study it with her. I wish she would just be 100% owning of it and then just be like, okay, this is what happened. I saw him in church and I knew I looked hot that day. So I gave him the eye and I let him think that like he had seen me first when obviously I did. And then after that, I started talking to Mary at the brunch because I knew I had to get to Mary. You're just like, okay. You're just like, I think that's so interesting. Okay, so as you know, you brought it up, Aurora's going to get married. And so some of the other things that happened with Robin is
I don't know that.
Robin is like, let me tell you about men. Every single lady sees married men and they drool. That's what happened to me. When I first saw Cody and he was already married in church, honey, I was just like, give me that. And once God was like, you know what? Why don't you get with that one? I couldn't talk for 30 minutes.
What was that?
I need your opinion, please.
Prison. They should all be in prison. Gross. What do you want me to say to that?
I couldn't.
Ew. But okay, but this is my point. Robin likes and is passionate about Cody as a story. Cody as a person, I think she finds off-putting and most of all, exhausting. When Robin talks about the Cody of the past as an illustrative tool to shape her daughter, Cody is amazing. When she talks about Cody in the past to the cameras, though, she was on defense and she was, victimized in certain ways by various people. Robin's reality is so malleable. It's so fluid. It's whatever it needs to be to serve any kind of discordant purpose, completely different from her other purposes. I just think she's done with him. I think she's done with him. I think she's sick of him. I think she's done. So I really can't wait. Complete 180 from where we started this an hour ago. I'm ready for season 21 now. I just talked myself into it. I'm ready.
Do you think that she would leave him? Or do you think he would leave her first?
I think she would have to leave him unless they took on another wife, which I don't think they will. I do not see Cody leaving. I do not now. No way. I think Cody's biggest fear is being left by her, because then what is he? The only thing worse than being divorced 3 times for Cody is being divorced 4 times. That's the only way his life can get worse in terms of his marital relationships. I'm not going to allude to anything else.
You're right. Because like the truth of the matter is at this point, they can just be like, we chose each other. Okay. So to wrap this up, obviously Robin gets a lot of like, I don't play these girl games, and the girl games are Janelle and Mary just basically being like, can you believe that we had to deal with this one? Sometimes like they're just talking, and that was supposed to be like Robin not subscribing. And I mean, Robin, no. As I said, Mary, all the wives have different places with each other. Robin and Mary used to be close, and Mary, knew about the catfish situation and also told Cody and or maybe her friend that knew the catfish person. And therefore Mary would find out things that she had only told Robin. And then also Cody came at Mary. And so no one trusts Robin, but Cody's like, my wife's cheating on me and how to deal with that. And the catfish thing happened before the dark time that happened in Vegas. So if Cody had not abandoned Mary, maybe the catfish situation would have happened or would have not happened. Fair. Leon knew about the catfish situation being a catfish before and told Mary, and Mary was like, no. And that's why they had issues. That is it. I mean, that's not it, obviously. But I mean, how much longer can I keep you? Like we could talk about this show and the possibilities and the psychoanalyze everyone and their choices. And I really would and we'd even get on to like how Leon and Maddie don't even talk and what, and who likes each other. What, I know there's literally so much. I do think they should have a season 21, but I think they're going to have to find ways to get people together.
I hope so. We've been saying that for 5 years. So I don't know. I hope so. We'll see. I'm holding out hope. I'll watch whatever they give me. But anybody listening to this, if you disagree, good. by all means, in all seriousness, because I get comments every day saying, I hate the show. I wish they'd cancel it. And if you feel that way, I understand. So just don't engage. That's the best thing you can do is if you don't like it, don't engage. And I understand because most people don't want the show over. They want the show to be good. That's what they mean, I think. It's not, I don't want the show to end. It's I want the show to be enjoyable. That's what I want. And so maybe, think about that if you feel that way, because maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm not.
What a pleasure it was to do like a special collab episode where we get to discuss the entire season, the tell-alls, and let's just be honest, the entire universe that is Sister Wives. It's been an absolute gift. Thank you so much. If you want more of me, you can find me. I'm at Chris L. Farah on all your social medias like TikTok. I'm also on Instagram. I'm on Patreon, Chris Farah. I'm on Substack, Chris Farah. You can like my page, Chris Farah, on Facebook. I also have a group, Vanity Farah, on Facebook. My podcast, of course, is called Vanity Farah. Please listen and give 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts like Apple or Spotify. Other than that, it's been a pleasure talking to you. What a dream. But I want to know, how do people find you?
Sure. So my podcast is called The Sister Wives Professor. So if you're listening to this on Chris's feed, you can check me out. I'm on Apple. I'm on Spotify. I am on anything. I also have a Patreon, patreon.com/The Sister Wives Professor, where I do monthly deep dives on the Brown family, including the catfishing situation, Cody's relationship with his father, Robin's crying adjacent behaviors, as I call them, conflict styles of the Brown family, family communication patterns, actualization, all that and more. I'm getting up to almost 20 different specific deep dive topics on the Browns alone, along with all kinds of stuff. I cover documentaries, and I have a book club with my wife that we do every month as a podcast. All that stuff's available through Apple subscription or through Patreon. And I'm on the TikTok and the Facebook, and I have a Facebook group called the Sister Wives Professor Study Hall that you're welcome to join and talk to me and lots of very nice, polite Sister Wives fans. And that's it. You can email me at thesisterwivesprofessor@gmail.com. And if you hate this podcast and me, please email me, Jeff Bezos at Amazon.com, and tell me everything wrong about both myself and Chris, and we will print it out on our walls and we will never stop looking at it again. That's Jeff Bezos at Amazon.com. Go nuts.
Oh, God. Thank you. Bye.